So once you've established what your argument is, the next step is to think, how can you structure the essay in a way which helps you to develop your core argument. Structuring the essay, therefore, is very, very important. Having a very clear, coherent structure will help you to better develop your argument and to help the reader understand where you're going. If you do not have a clear structure, then the reader might not be able to follow what is that which you're trying to establish. Hence the importance of a structure, or a good structure. And a basic essay structure looks something like this. It has an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion. The introduction itself sets the scene, and one of the ways in which you can set the scene is to, let's say, start with a contemporary case study and then tease out the core question that you're trying to explore. Start with a contemporary problem and tease out the core issue that you're trying to engage. And once you've done that, you'll then move on and mention your core point and argument, the overarching argument of the essay. And that should be done in a very clear statement. In this essay, I will argue that, or this essay suggests that. My aim in this essay is to cast doubt on this thinker's ideas. You can write in the first person if you want to. In political theory, it is preferable actually if you do that. If you're not comfortable with that, you can also always write in the third person if you wish. You should also, in your introduction, finally, explain to the reader how the discussion is advanced, how the essay is organized. And you can do that again in a very clear statement. The discussion proceeds as follows. I will first explore this thinker's insights on justice. Then I will cast doubt on his arguments or her arguments by drawing on this school of thought. You need to give your reader a map, and in the introduction you will be doing that. You will be mentioning what the argument is, but also explain to the reader how you will structure the argument. The main body is where the magic happens, and the main body is the place in which you develop and advance your argument. You will raise and elaborate on 3 or 4 subpoints that contribute to your argument. It's important to ensure that the structure is clear, and I would advise you to stick to the following principle. 1 main point per paragraph. So each paragraph should have a specific point, and each paragraph should therefore link quite explicitly to the overall argument, but also to answer the question in a specific way. It will also ideally link to what follows in the next paragraph, so as to ensure that your essay has a very clear structure. In the main body, you will critically draw, engage, and synthesize on relevant scholarly sets of literature. So your main body could always be divided into further subsections. You could, in the first subsection, have the exposition of a thinker's ideas and then your critique, or you can organize this on the basis of the various subpoints that you want to focus on, which will be developing or contribute to the development of your own argument. Signposting is quite important here as well, because it helps the reader to understand where you've been, where you're going, and why. So while the essay progresses, you will try to help your reader by using various signposts, little phrases, various devices, which tell the reader where they've been and where they're going. For example, as I have argued in the previous section, or as I will explore in the ensuing section, or what emerges from this is the following question. Is this a satisfactory account of justice? Does it displace, perhaps, the concrete realities of politics? And then, by adding your signpost, it is to this issue I shall now turn in the next section. By dividing also your essay into various subsections, each of which has a specific title, you will be better able to impose a more clear and coherent structure on the essay. You will be also reminding to the reader what its subsection is about, where you're going, but you will be also helping yourself to make sure that you're exactly sticking to what the team says. This is quite important, especially if you've got a tendency to, let's say, go off topic. If your subsection is titled Douglas's or Rose's or Plato's account of justice, then in that subsection you will not be developing a critique of those thinkers, but rather you'll be merely outlining the core insights. The conclusion will remind the reader what the essay has argued and what it has achieved. The introduction is in some sense forward-looking. It tells the reader what you have done. The conclusion is backward-looking, and it tells the reader what you have done as opposed to what you will be doing. The conclusion, therefore, is a rehearsal of the core argument and the way in which you have established this argument. It's not the place to introduce new arguments, new ideas, new assertions which you've not covered earlier. So if you conclude by articulating another argument, then that does not really look like a conclusion. If you wish to mention an additional argument, then that should be done in the main body, not in the conclusion, which is a summary of what you have done. In the next bit, we'll say something more about critically engaging with sources, developing arguments, but also referencing.